Today we have a message from Dr. Stephen Rourke, who is left in charge of Ralph's book sales. He has a few words he would like to say.
Alright, very well. Yeah, more than Ralph's, mere book sales, he bequeathed to me a big responsibility, which I immediately started an undertaking of not allowing Rene's message to die with him. I made a promise to a friend that I would not allow his research to die with him. And upon grieving and hearing of Ralph's death, I immediately started to stick to my promise, contacting as many radio shows as I could with Rene's, controversial message. Jarrah's helped me in organizing much of the research, so I'm going to stick to that promise. I hope I'm a good spokesman. I'm hoping Rene picked me for a reason for that job, so I'm going to stick to it. Now, Rene was, a complex man, but I think his death almost says a lot about him. He was uncompromising in a lot of ways, and really he left this place on his own terms, and I think that says everything about Rene. His mind was his own, and he lived with his decisions. This is more than you can say about many people. And now, as far as Rene being a great man, he had many controversial theses. He always did the research to back them up, and I thought that made him a compelling individual. Now, in the early hours of May 16th, 1990, after a week spent watching old video footage of, the man on the moon, the thought was turning into an obsession in Rene's mind. This is how he shared it with me. He began to ask himself questions like, how can it be the lunar surface beneath the thrusters look undisturbed? And the then 47-year-old Ralph Rene kept asking himself while comparing the footprint left in the same lunar surface. That moment was the beginning of really an incredible odyssey for this self-taught engineer from New Jersey, a man who was undeniably a genius, a didact, a completely self-taught man, a man with innate curiosity that could not be quenched by the official story. In this way, Rene has left his mark. This is to say nothing, of course, with the fact that he really, others may have come before him, but so far as popularizing the contemporary conspiracy theory to end all conspiracy theories, Rene put all his findings into really a startling format, published it himself. This says everything about just how incredibly persevering he was. His works were always a compelling read, and again, in this way, he was a great man. A conflicted man, a man who spent the bulk of the end of his life in incredible pain, which I need to state, I feel was completely undeserved for a man of his abilities, character, and the mark he left on the world. We love him, we're going to miss him, but in many ways, I can identify with the way Ralph left this place on his own terms, and in even more ways, I can be thankful that he didn't spend another day in pain. Rodney had passed along a statement that essentially spoke to Rene's ability to have everyone around him kind of questioning their beliefs, like why they believe what they believe. This is an incredible gift. It's the gift of asking people to think about their own thinking, to kind of fundamentally question why they believe an official story. And I know I reinforced that message with my own speaking part, but Rodney Grammer mentioned that Rene made the world a better place and changed his life because he changed his mind.
That's beautiful. We are very grateful for those kind words from you and Rodney Grammer. Finally, this is from me. Ralph Ernst Cascarelli. Few people knew him by that name. He was better remembered as Ralph Rene, or just plain Rene as he preferred. I remember he told me that was the name of his great-great-grandmother, whom everyone thought she was nuts. She's not nuts, he would say. She's just a real woman. In his early years, Ralph Cascarelli's neighbourhood was full of Irish cops and judges. The cops liked pulling him over and come up to his window and say to him, "What the fuck's your name, guy?" Then there was times when he'd have to show it to an Irish judge, and the first thing the judge would ask him is, "What the fuck's your name, guy?" I can't laugh at people who have a name most people can't pronounce, because I'm there. It finally drove Ralph to pay a visit to his buddy Joey, who had just become a lawyer. "Change my name," he told him. "Okay, what would you like your name to be changed to?" "René," he said. The rest is history. René was always, as he described, an extra bright kid from the slums. He proved it by entering Mensa, the high IQ society. Entry requires IQ within the top 2%, and passing the entrance exams is more than what most academics could achieve. René loved inventing things, but budget only helped him get two basic but useful patents. His patented flame tip for soldering torches helped fellow construction workers overcome the hazard that exists when one tries to evenly solder pipe couplings in close quarters. Later in life, the Rand Corporation approached him, asking him for any free ideas he may have for poor old NASA on space travel. René came up with 3 or 4 ideas, and at least one of them got approved for a manned flight to Mars. Wouldn't you agree that that's not bad for a self-taught extra bright kid from the slums, without credentials to show for, other than a college diploma in the name of Cascarelli? René worked hard labour for 23 years until arthritis did him in. He lived the remaining 34 years of his life in constant pain. But still, he made it his duty in life to stand up for what he believed in, to help educate the world on the many scientific anomalies he had discovered. It was a rough ride, but he pulled through for as long as he could, up until that fateful car crash that worsened his regular hip pain and drove him into insomnia. He had stated that he wasn't suicidal, but now it has become clear even the non-suicidal have their limits. Ralph and I often shared emails and spoke over the phone. He often spoke of how much pain he was in. On our last conversation, I asked, "This may sound like a stupid question, but how long do you think you have left?" His exact response was, quote, "For as long as I can hold out." I do very much miss those talks we had. It was unusual to find Ralph in a cheery mood, and who could blame him? 34 years of continuous physical pain will make anyone uptight. Given the toll it had taken on him, I'm sure Ralph Rene would have no objections to my being the third man after John Cleese and Eric Idle to say the word fuck at a funeral. But it always made my heart sing to hear him laugh at the jokes we cracked during our phone conversations. I firmly believe that those good times helped him forget the pain he suffered all these years. Bill Casing stated that René always did have a good comic sense, and he sure wasn't joking. It is said that laughter is the best medicine. I only wish it could have cured his arthritis completely. Ralph Ernst Cascarelli. Ralph Ernst Cascarelli René. He did many wonderful things for his fellow man. Among many of the other things, he was a valued member of the moon hoax movement and a really useful engineer. He will never be forgotten. And as we cast his ashes out to sea, may he finally be rid of the lifelong pain and rest in peace. Goodbye, Ralph. And go get him, Tigger.